In this video, I want to have a look at 25 prophecies from the Old Testament that were fulfilled in the life of Jesus. Now, it's true to say that hundreds of years before Jesus Christ was born in Bethlehem, the Old Testament prophet Micah predicted that the Messiah would be born in that city, as we read in Micah chapter 5 verse 2 and fulfilled in Matthew chapter 2 verses 4 to 6. So this is just one of many specific Bible prophecies given centuries before his birth that were fulfilled in the life and ministry of Jesus. So these predictions are significant evidence that Jesus was indeed who he claimed to be, the Messiah, the Son of God, the Saviour of the world. Jesus himself recognized that the Old Testament prophecies had foretold his work. He told the religious leaders of his day, "If you believe Moses, you would believe me, for he wrote about me," as we read in John chapter 5 verse 46. And he said to his disciples, "All things must be fulfilled which were written in the law of Moses and the prophets and the Psalms concerning me." And we can read that in Luke chapter 24 verse 44. So let's look at 25 of those prophecies, actually hundreds, but let's look at these ones. Firstly, number 1, the Messiah would be born of a virgin, as we read in the book of Isaiah chapter 7 verse 14 and fulfilled in Matthew chapter 1 verses 18 to 23. Number 2, the Messiah would be born of the tribe of Judah, as we read in Genesis chapter 49 verse 10 and fulfilled in Matthew chapter 1 verses 1 to 17 and also Luke chapter 3 verses 23 to 28. Number 3, innocent children would be slaughtered at the time of the Messiah's birth. And we read that's prophesied in Jeremiah chapter 31 verse 15 and fulfilled in Matthew chapter 2 verses 16 to 18. Number 4, the Messiah would flee to Egypt following his birth, and that's prophesied in Hosea chapter 11 verse 1 and fulfilled in Matthew chapter 2 verses 14 and 15. Number 5, the Messiah would come from Galilee, prophesied in Isaiah chapter 9 verses 1 and 2 and fulfilled in Matthew chapter 2 verses 19 to 22 and chapter 4 verses 13 to 16. Number 6, a messenger would prepare the way for the Messiah, and that's prophesied in Isaiah chapter 40 verses 3 to 5 and fulfilled in Matthew chapter 3 verses 1 to 3, Mark chapter 1 verses 1 to 3, Luke chapter 3 verses 1 to 6, and John chapter 1 verses 19 to 23. Number 7, the prophet Isaiah predicted the Messiah's ministry would be one of healing and preaching the gospel, and that's prophesied in Isaiah chapter 61 verses 1 to 3 and fulfilled in Luke chapter 4 verses 16 to 21. Number 8, the work of the Messiah would be marked by compassion and tenderness for the weak and hurting, and that's prophesied in the book of Isaiah chapter 40 verse 11 and chapter 42 verses 1 to 3, and it's fulfilled in Matthew chapter 5 verses Matthew chapter 12 verses 15 to 21. Ninthly, the Messiah would be rejected by his own people whom he had come to save, and that's prophesied in Isaiah chapter 53 verse 3 and fulfilled in John chapter 1 verse 10 and verse 11 and chapter 19 verses 12 to 15. Number 10, the Messiah would enter Jerusalem in triumph on a donkey, prophesied in Zechariah chapter 9 verse 1 and fulfilled in John chapter 12 verses 13 to 15. Number 11, the Messiah would be betrayed by a close associate, a friend, prophesied in Psalm chapter 41 verse 9 and fulfilled in Matthew chapter 26 verses 47 to 50, Mark chapter 14 verse 10, and John chapter 13 verses 18 to 21. Number 12, the Messiah would be betrayed for 30 pieces of silver, prophesied in Zechariah chapter 11 verse 12 and fulfilled in Matthew chapter 26 verses 14 and 15. Number 13, the money paid out to the Messiah's betrayer would be returned and used to purchase a potter's field. Amazing, this one. Prophesied in Zechariah chapter 11 verse 13 and fulfilled in Matthew chapter 27 verses 3 to 8. Number 14, the Messiah would be deserted by all of his closest followers in his hour of need. And that's prophesied in Zechariah chapter 13 verse 7 and fulfilled in Matthew chapter 26 verses 31 and 56. Number 15, during his interrogation, the Messiah would be struck and spat upon. And that's prophesied in Isaiah chapter 50 verse 6 and fulfilled in Matthew chapter 26 verse 67, Mark chapter 14 verse 65 and John chapter 19 verse 3. Number 16, the Messiah would remain silent in the face of his accusers. And that's prophesied in the book of Isaiah chapter 53 verse 7 and fulfilled in Matthew chapter 26 verses 62 and 63 and Mark chapter 15 verse 3 and Luke chapter 23 verse 9. Number 17, the Messiah would be pierced through his hands and feet, that is, crucified. And this was prophesied long before crucifixion was invented by the Romans, actually. So this was prophesied in Psalm chapter 22 verse 16 and also Zechariah chapter 12 verse 10 and fulfilled in Matthew chapter 27 verse 35 and again in Mark chapter 15 verse 25 and again in Luke chapter 23 verse 33 and John chapter 19 verses 17 and 18 and chapter 20 verses 24 and 25. Number 18, the Messiah would die for the sins of others, not his own. And that's prophesied in Isaiah chapter 53 verses 1 to 6 and fulfilled in Romans chapter 4 verse 25 and chapter 5 verses 6 to 8 and the book of 2 Corinthians chapter 5 verse 21. Number 19, the very words used by those who mocked the Messiah as he died were predicted, as we read in Psalm chapter 22 verse 7 and 8 and fulfilled in Matthew chapter 27 verses 41 to 43. Number 20, the Messiah would be offered gall and vinegar, that's sour wine, in his dying agonies. And that's prophesied in Psalm chapter 69 verse 21 and fulfilled in Matthew chapter 27 verse 34 and John chapter 19 verses 28 and 29. Number 21, the soldiers carrying out his execution would divide the Messiah's clothing among themselves by casting lots for different garments. And that's prophesied in Psalm 22 verse 18 and fulfilled in Matthew chapter 27 verse 35, Mark chapter 15 verse 24, Luke chapter 23 verse 34 and John chapter 19 verses 23 and 24. Number 22, the Messiah's dying wounds were predicted accurately. As we read, as is prophesied in Psalm 22 verse 1 and Psalm 31 verse 5 and fulfilled in Matthew chapter 27 verse 46 and Mark chapter 15 verse 34. Number 23, the Messiah's bones would not be broken at his crucifixion, as is predicted in Psalm chapter 34 verse 20 and fulfilled in John chapter 19 verses 31 to 33. Number 24, in his death the Messiah would be associated both with common criminals and with the rich, and that's prophesied in Isaiah chapter 53 verse 9 and fulfilled in Matthew chapter 27 verse 38 and verses 57 to 60. And lastly, number 25, the Messiah would be raised to life 3 days after his death. And that was prophesied in Hosea chapter 6 verse 2 and also in Psalm 16 verse 10 and 49 verse 15, and that was fulfilled in Luke chapter 24 verses 1 to 8. So these are only 25 prophecies that were fulfilled, that were predicted about Jesus in the Old Testament and fulfilled in the New Testament. Who else, what other person can we say fulfilled this many prophecies throughout history? No one. There's only one, Jesus Christ, the Son of God, the Messiah, the Saviour of the world.